My name is Emily, and I am from a small town in Philippines. I was only 19 years old when I got married to a man named David. He was kind to me in the beginning, and my parents thought he was a good man. He lived in the United States, and after the wedding, I was supposed to go with him. I was scared. I had never been far from home. I had never taken a plane, and I didn't speak much English. I cried a lot before I left. I didn't want to leave my family, especially my mother. She was everything to me. We talked every day, and she always helped me when I was sad. She cooked for me, made me laugh, and gave me warm hugs. I didn't know how I would live without her. Before we moved, David stayed with us in our house for 3 weeks. He was quiet and didn't talk much, but I thought maybe he was just shy. After those weeks, it was time to go. I packed my clothes and a few pictures of my family. My mother gave me a silver bracelet and said, "This is to remind you of me. Stay strong, my daughter." I hugged her tightly and cried so much. She was crying too. I had never seen her like that. Saying goodbye felt like someone was pulling my heart out. We took the flight to New York. The journey was long, and I felt sick. My eyes were red from crying, and my stomach hurt. David didn't talk to me much on the plane. He looked out the window most of the time. I felt very alone already. When we reached New York, it was cold and windy. It was winter, and snow was falling. I had never seen snow before. It was beautiful, but I could not enjoy it. I was too sad and scared. David's father came to the airport to pick us up. His name was Mr. Collins. He looked serious and didn't smile. His wife, Miss Collins, stayed at home to cook, David said. We arrived at their house in New Jersey. It was small, dark, and very quiet. I went to my room and sat on the bed. My heart was heavy. I missed my home already. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about my mother and father and my 2 younger brothers. I wanted to run back to them, but I couldn't. I was now a wife, and this was my new home. The next day, Mrs. Collins called me to the kitchen. She gave me a list of chores. Clean the living room, wash the dishes, cook rice, and don't be lazy, she said in a cold voice. I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough. I felt like a helper, not a daughter-in-law. I worked all day. My back hurt, and my hands were dry from the cold water. David didn't help. He just sat with his father, drank coffee, and watched TV. When I asked him if I could rest, he said, "My mom likes things clean. Try to do your best." Every day was the same. I woke up early, cleaned, cooked, and stayed quiet. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to speak up. I was too scared to make anyone angry. Mr. Collins had a loud voice, and he shouted if I did something wrong. One time, I burned the rice, and he shouted so loudly that I cried in the bathroom for an hour. Weeks passed, and I started to feel more and more sad. I didn't laugh anymore. I didn't talk to anyone except David, and even he stopped listening to me. I missed my family so much. I wanted to call my mother, but David said the phone bill was too expensive. He told me I could call her once a month. I waited for that one call like it was gold. I cried when I heard her voice. I lied to her and said, "I'm fine, Mama. Everything is okay." But it wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. After 3 months, I found out I was pregnant. I was happy and scared at the same time. I thought maybe now things would get better. Maybe the family would be happy and David would love me more. But nothing changed. Mrs. Collins said, "Now you must work harder. A strong woman works even when she is pregnant." She gave me no rest. I worked with a heavy body and a tired heart. David still listened to his parents and never stood up for me. He didn't ask me how I felt. When I got sick in the mornings, he just said, "Take rest after the work is done." One day, I felt dizzy and almost fell in the kitchen. My hands were shaking and my head was spinning. I sat down on the floor and tears came to my eyes. I was so tired, so alone, and so scared. That night, I held my stomach and whispered to the baby, "You are not alone. I will protect you. I will be strong for you." The baby gave me hope. I started to dream about a better life. I wanted to learn English, get a job, and make money. I wanted to buy my own house where no one could shout at me. I didn't want to live under fear anymore. When the baby was born, it was a boy. I named him Ethan. He was beautiful, with big brown eyes and soft hair. I held him in my arms and felt strong for the first time. I thought, this is my son. I will protect him no matter what. But even after Ethan was born, things did not get better. I had to take care of him all alone. Mrs. Collins didn't help me. She said, "He is your baby, not mine." David went back to work a few weeks later, and I stayed at home with Ethan. I didn't sleep much. I didn't eat well. But I kept going. I told myself, one day this will change. One day I will have my own life. At night, I still cried sometimes. I looked at the silver bracelet from my mother and held it in my hand. I whispered, "I miss you, Mama. I hope you are okay. I will be strong. I promise." The first year with Ethan was the hardest. I was always tired. I woke up many times during the night to feed him. In the morning, I still had to clean, cook, and do everything in the house. No one helped me. Sometimes I felt like I was not a person, just someone to work and stay quiet. Mrs. Collins never smiled at Ethan. She didn't want to hold him or play with him. She said, "Babies are noisy. Keep him quiet." Mr. Collins didn't say much. He just looked at me like I didn't belong. One night, Ethan was sick. He had a fever, and I didn't know what to do. I asked David to take us to the doctor, but he was watching a movie. He said, "He will be fine. Just give him water." I was scared. I held Ethan in my arms and cried. I stayed awake all night and prayed he would feel better. I missed my mother more than ever. I wanted to hear her voice, but it was not time for my monthly call. I sat in the dark with Ethan and whispered, "I love you, Mama. I need you." After that night, I decided something. I needed to be stronger. I could not wait for someone to save me. I had to save myself. I had to do something for me and my son. I looked in the mirror and said, "You are a mother now. You must fight." I started to look for ways to learn English. I found a small community center near our home that gave free English classes. I told David I wanted to go. At first he said no. "You're too busy," he said. But I didn't stop asking. After many days, he finally agreed, but only for 2 days a week. I was so happy. I went to class with other women like me, immigrants from different places, Mexico, India, Egypt, and more. I was shy at first, but I listened carefully. I learned how to say simple things like, "I need help," "I want water," and "My baby is sick." Every new word gave me power. The teacher, Miss Lisa, was kind. She always smiled and helped me when I didn't understand. She said, "You are smart, Emily. Keep going." Those words stayed in my heart. No one had called me smart in a long time. Slowly, I started to speak more English at home. David didn't care. He just said, "Do what you want." Mrs. Collins didn't like it. She said, "Why are you trying to be something you're not?" But I didn't stop. I was doing this for Ethan, for me, and for my future. After a few months, Miss Lisa told me there was a part-time job opening at a local bakery. I was nervous. I had never worked outside the house before. I asked David if I could try. He said, "You won't last 1 week." But I went anyway. The bakery was small, but warm and friendly. The owner, Miss P.'s Grace, was kind. She showed me how to serve coffee, bag bread, and speak with customers. My English was not perfect, but I smiled and tried my best. Many people were patient with me. I worked 3 hours a day while Ethan stayed with David or Mrs. Collins. I saved every dollar I earned. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I felt proud. I bought my own winter coat and a small toy for Ethan. Working gave me hope. I saw that life could be better. I started to dream again. I wanted to get a full-time job one day, maybe study something, and rent a small apartment for me and Ethan. I didn't want to live in fear anymore. But just when things were getting better, something bad happened. One evening, David came home late. He had been drinking. He walked into the house and started yelling. Ethan was sleeping, and I told him to be quiet, but he got angry. He shouted at me and pushed a chair. I was scared. I had never seen him like that before. I ran to the bedroom and locked the door with Ethan in my arms. I sat on the floor, shaking. I knew then that I was not safe. Not for me, and not for my son. The next morning, I told Mrs. Collins what happened. She looked at me and said, "You made him angry. Maybe don't talk so much." I felt my heart break again. She didn't care. She never did. A week later, things got even worse. David and Mr. Collins were arguing about money. I stayed quiet in the kitchen, holding Ethan. Then Mr. Collins walked up to me and said, "You can leave if you don't like it here. But the boy stays." I froze. What did he mean? I said, "I'm his mother." He replied, "This is David's family. The boy stays with us." My legs felt weak. I thought I might fall. I said nothing and walked away. That night, I cried and held Ethan close to my chest. I whispered, "No one will take you away from me. I will never leave you." I called my mother that month and told her everything. I cried and cried. She cried too. She said, "Come back home, Emily. We will help you." But I couldn't leave. Not yet. I had no money, no place to go, and no way to take Ethan out of the country without David's permission. I was stuck. Still, I didn't give up. I kept going to work. I kept learning English. I saved more money, little by little. I watched videos, read simple books, and practiced speaking every day. Miss Lisa helped me fill out papers to apply for a legal residency card on my own. She said, "You're doing great, Emily. Don't stop now." At the bakery, Mrs. Grace offered me more hours. I started working 5 hours a day. I bought a second-hand phone with my own money and started talking to other women at work. I learned about support groups for women like me. For the first time, I started to feel stronger inside. I still lived in that house, and I still had to be careful. But I knew I was not the same girl who arrived in New Jersey 1 year ago. I was growing, learning, and getting ready. Every night, I held Ethan and whispered, "One day, we will have our own home. One day, you will smile every day. I promise." 2 years had passed since I first came to the United States. Life was still hard, but I was different now. I was not the quiet girl who cried alone every night. I was still afraid sometimes, but I had learned how to stay strong. I had a small voice, but I had started to use it. Ethan was now 2 years old. He could walk and say little words. He loved to laugh and run around. Every time he smiled, I felt like I could keep going. He was the light in my dark world. At the bakery, I had become one of the trusted workers. Mrs. Grace gave me more hours and even let me help with simple paperwork. I still didn't speak perfect English, but I had improved a lot. I could now speak to customers, ask questions, and understand most things. I also started meeting other women from different countries. Some of them had stories like mine, young mothers, living with people who didn't treat them well. We began to talk and share. One woman named Maria became my good friend. She told me, "You are not alone. You are doing better than you think." One day, she told me about a support group for women in my situation. They met every Saturday in a small room behind a local church. I was nervous, but I went. The room was full of women, some from Asia, some from Africa, some from South America. They were all strong in their own ways. A kind lady named Helen led the group. She spoke slowly and listened carefully. I told my story for the first time. I cried and my voice shook, but no one judged me. They nodded. They understood. After that, I went to the group every week. I started to feel stronger inside. Helen helped me find a free legal aid service. They told me my rights and helped me understand the law in the United States. They said, "No one can take your child away. You have the right to feel safe." That night, I thought about everything that had happened. The shouting, the cold looks, the fear, the silence. I asked myself, why do I still stay quiet around them? Why do I smile when I feel broken inside? Then, something inside me changed. I knew it was time. Not to run, but to move forward. With help from Helen and the legal aid group, I applied for a small apartment for low-income mothers. It was in a safe neighborhood, close to the bakery. I saved enough for the first month's rent. When the time came, I packed my things while David was at work. I took my clothes, Ethan's toys, and my mother's silver bracelet. Mrs. Collins was in the kitchen when I left. She didn't stop me. She just said, "You'll come back. You need us." But I knew I wouldn't come back. My new apartment was small, but it felt big to me. It had 2 rooms, clean walls, and a window that let the sunshine in. I laid a mat on the floor, placed a blanket for Ethan, and sat down. I cried. But this time, I cried because I was free. At first, it was not easy. I had to cook, clean, work, and take care of Ethan all by myself. But I was used to that. The difference was, now I had peace. No one shouted at me. No one made me feel small. In this space, I could breathe. One day, I got a letter from home. My mother had passed away. My heart broke all over again. I cried for days. I remembered how she told me to stay strong, how she gave me the bracelet, how she always believed in me. I felt guilty that I didn't visit her, that I didn't call her more. But then I remembered her. But then I remembered her voice. "Be brave, my daughter." I held Ethan close and whispered, "I'm sorry, Mama. I'm doing my best." After that, I promised myself something. I would live fully for my mother, for Ethan, and for me. Months passed. I continued working and saving. Ethan started going to a small daycare for a few hours while I worked. He made friends and learned new words. I watched him grow, and I felt proud. One day at the bakery, Mrs. Grace said, "You've come a long way, Emily. You should think about managing this place one day." I smiled. I still didn't believe I was that strong. But maybe I was. David tried to contact me a few times. He called and said, "Come back. Ethan needs his father." I said no. I was kind, but clear. "You had your chance. I'm doing what's best for us now." I still feel pain when I think about the past. I still cry sometimes, especially when I remember my mother. But I don't cry from fear anymore. I cry from healing, from remembering, from growing. Some days are still hard. But now when I wake up in the morning and see Ethan sleeping beside me, I smile. I get up, make tea, and start my day. This is our life now, simple, honest, and ours. I am not rich. I don't have everything, but I have peace, I have freedom, I have a son who loves me, I have friends who support me, and I have myself. And that is enough. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.